Everybody say hell yeah.
What's up?
He's better than Oprah.
Come on, y'all. This is Shaun T, and it's time to trust and believe. All right, everyone, welcome to Trust and Believe. Today, I have a very special guest. I'm probably going to fanboy a little bit. I'm super duper excited because today we have Kelly Chase. A lot of you may know her from the show Love is Blind, but she has so much more to offer to this world. Not to say that the show she was on wasn't amazing and thought-provoking and emotional, but we're going to dive right into this. And I'm just going to say, Kelly, tell me more about how you're a holistic health coach, and even more importantly, what I think is going to resonate with our fans is how you dealt with body image issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. I'm super honored. It's so nice to see you, hear you in person. kind of. But no, thanks. And for everyone out there tuning in too, thanks for being supporters of the show and, of Beachbody altogether too. So on the show, I was actually about 10 to 12 pounds heavier than I am now. So I have lost weight even more since the show. And looking back, watching the show myself, I knew that I wasn't where I wanted to be. And I even made that known. I think in episode 1, I made a statement about that. I have an issue because I'm not where I would really like to be. So having the confidence, I feel like I've always been a really happy-go-lucky person, but I know that when we all struggle with something in our life, it throws our confidence off. And whether that's an inner confidence or an outer confidence or a combination of both. And that's kind of where I was. I was in a state of both. A part of me wanted to be okay, well, I think that these guys are attractive once I see them, but are they going to think I'm attractive? Because I'm not the Kelly that I used to be 7 years ago, when I was where I am now. I gained a bunch of weight and now, I've lost it now, but it took time and challenges and a lot of stress and tears and frustration and sitting on my floor crying.
I must say that that's why I connected to you in the show, because I remember you saying that, and just knowing myself, having been on TV, knowing that even when you're on TV, number one, it adds weight to you. And if you walk into the situation already feeling a little self-confident, self-conscious, if you will, you're already stressed. And then in addition to that, you're on a show where you're trying to find someone to date, right? Or actually to get engaged to, which is crazy.
Right.
But before we go more into the show, because I have a ton of questions about the show, thank you for really opening up about the body image thing, because I just think that so many people, even the most, I'll say people with the lowest percentage of body fat, I don't want to say thin or fit, just people even with super low percentage of body fat, they struggle with that. But I understand that you actually have done some of Beachbody programs, 21 Day Fix with my girl Autumn. You've done Transform 20. Tell me about your Beachbody journey and how you became to be a holistic coach.
I started my journey as a health coach. I got certified through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition back in 2013. My mom had actually gone through a program prior to, a year and a half prior. And we've just always been raised very holistic, homeopathic kind of family. So my mom just suggested, she's like, Kel, even if you don't do anything professionally with it, at least you'll gain a lot of knowledge. So why don't you go through the program too? So I did, became certified. And about a year and a half into, after I got certified, I started gaining weight. What now I believe was because I slowed my metabolism down so much and my body went into complete starvation mode, fight or flight. What I did to myself after becoming a health coach and knowing what I need to do to stay healthy, it was the information went in one ear and out the other. And it was so interesting because I just got this mentality of, I went through a really bad breakup, and I went through this mentality oh, maybe if my body is looks like a bikini competitor, maybe he'll want me back or something. Like, I don't know, it was stupid. Girls, thoughts that go through girls' brains.
But I think that, I just would love to say something really quickly, which is it's not just females. And if you think about what was happening, everything was happening on the outside, meaning what is that person going to think of me? It's obviously it's your insecurity or your vulnerability. But a lot of times when we go through things like that, we're comparing ourselves to what other people either look like or, trying to please someone, or I can't be in a relationship because I look like this. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So I was, up on Google 3:00 in the morning sometimes, like, okay, like what is, what's the fastest way that I can like shred my body? So that was like what I was Googling at that point. Like, the fat burning foods, like all that kind of stuff, or like what does a bikini competitor's diet look like? What does her exercise routine look like? All the stuff. And granted, I know now why when you do a bikini competition, you actually hire a coach to do this with you so that you don't screw up your body and or you don't get physically injured by things too. I saw the scale hit 99 pounds. And my coworkers, my family, they were like, Kel, like, what's going on? Are you like not eating? Like, what's happening? And I'm like, no, I'm eating. But I think my body had already kind of like adapted to that like restricted diet, because I wasn't necessarily, like I said, I wasn't being coached by someone. So like what I was like finding on Google was like, oh, eat like a piece of chicken and like 4 asparagus spears and half a sweet potato, like something crazy like that. So my body had already slowed down and I just like wasn't eating a whole lot. So I started to gain weight, and like I had gone like on a trip to Spain, like out of the country, and I got home and I was like 120. I had never been that. And I was like, holy cow, I was like, but this travel weight, I indulged, had wine, the whole 9 yards. But as I got back into like my routine, I kept gaining weight. And I kept gaining weight and kept gaining weight. So by the end of it, 2015 rolled around and I had gone to almost 140 for someone who's 5'2". 5 pounds is a lot.
Yeah.
So almost like a 30-pound weight gain. And I was just like beside myself. I was like, what else? Like almost like what else can I cut from my diet at this point? Like,
I was going to ask you, where were you at mentally? Like, explain what was happening literally inside of your brain. What was going on?
I had never, I'll get emotional. Thank you. I had never felt that type of like sadness before. Like even with the breakup, it's like I thought I was heartbroken then, but not like, when you like look at yourself in the mirror and you like can't even identify yourself anymore. It was like, now I'm heartbroken because I don't even know who I am. So it was like a depression. So it was like a heartache on top of like everything. It was just a depression. I was frustrated. I mean, my 30th birthday party, my 30th birthday was 2015 and I was at my heaviest weight. And I remember like months prior to, I was just telling myself, I was like, Kelly, you're going to get in the best shape ever for your 30th birthday. And like when I see stuff online of people, reaching out to me now, and they're like, my 30th birthday, or like my birthday's coming up and I just want to be in the best shape, or my wedding's coming up. And I'm just like, I just want to give them a hug and be like, this is what you need to do, like right now. Because now I know what was happening. And, I restricted so much. I slowed my metabolism down. Again, like I said, I just went into the starvation mode. So it's like I could have eaten a cookie or a carrot and I still gained fat. It was like just piling on. And I was obsessively working out at the time too. Like I was teaching like cycle classes, but I would like go to the gym earlier and like bust out like a HIIT workout or like a, what do I call it? Superset. Like I would superset. And I never lifted heavy a day in my life until this weight problem. I started doing that. Well, then I like injured myself because I wasn't doing it right. And I got bulky. It's like I was like inflamed. So in fall of 2015 is when I was introduced to Beachbody. And I, obviously I bought into like the 21-day fix and I started doing that. I went from like 2 hours of working out every day to like just the 30 minutes, the 20, 30 minutes. So I felt more confident just working out in my home. knocking it out right before work. And obviously I was paying attention and doing my due diligence with the portion control, the portion containers. Those are a lifesaver. I mean, like, I recommend those to everybody. I'm like, I don't care. Like, if you can't afford the $200, like, here, at least buy these. Like, start yourself
Right.
off. I don't even care. But, so yeah, I mean, I just started doing that. And probably within like 2 months, I had lost like half the weight that I had gained. And I was like, just putting like 2 and 2 together. I'm like, wow, Kelly, like, your body actually needs food for fuel. It needs to kickstart your metabolism. Your metabolism actually needs food in order for it to function properly. Obviously, because I stripped myself of like nutrients, because it was like I wasn't even eating fruit. I literally had like chicken, asparagus, or broccoli, and like a sweet potato like every day. It was horrible. So I wasn't.
You didn't get all of your.
I didn't get all the
vitamins,
right.
the minerals, the
exactly
antioxidants, everything.
So I had like stripped myself. So it's like, for the last few years now, I've just been like trying to repair and heal.
What's really interesting, and I think you're making a really great point to people, is that the way you treat your body when it comes to food can have long-term detrimental effects, and it takes a while to heal. In addition to that, I think what's really interesting is, even though you use portion fixed containers and you did lose the weight and your metabolism kicked in and you're eating the right foods, going back to what I just said, those long-term effects still take a while to heal. And so I think it's really important for people out there to really listen to you and hear your story and connect to your story so far, because what you're doing right now, even if you get to a point where you do lose the weight and you can fit into that bikini or whatever the case may be, you're going to have internal digestive issues. And that's why I always say to so many people, focus on digestive health more than you focus on the weight loss, because weight loss and a healthy body will come with putting the right nutrients and food in your body. Sorry, I just had to get that out, because so many things you said there is so powerful, especially the part about you going into your mind. And you may have heard me say before, FIT doesn't have a size, it has a mentality, period. It's all about, what happened to you mentally happened to you physically. You were stressed mentally, you started doing things to your body that physically took you on the wrong path. The minute you're able to find something that worked for you, you mentally get better, and then you start to physically heal.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Everything is connected. And I mean, it's interesting too, also what you were saying at the beginning of the show. It's like, even if you're like super shredded, people can still have a negative body image of themselves. And like, that's what happened. Like, that's what I started with. It was the same Google search when I was where I could have been, like, normal. And then when I had gained the 30 pounds, it was like the same Google search. And
Kelly,
it's crazy.
Well, let me tell you something. So 10 years ago, I created my Asylum workout. And so I was doing really good. I ate healthy, whatever. After I finished the Asylum shooting those videos, I went somewhat into the same place that you went to, which is like, I look good, I feel good, and I'm going to try to keep my body in this fitness model / fitness competition, physique competition, zone. And it just literally, the minute I just switched one thing in my diet, I remember gaining not like a tremendous amount of weight, but just like I felt bloated in places, like I didn't feel good. And so I just want to let you know that you are not alone, because even as a fitness professional and getting to that point of like, oh, my body looks good, and and you think that having a full 6-pack with veins on veins is the best thing to have, it's actually not. To the point where it took me a long time, and which is going to be my next question to you, it took me a long time to be like 8-9% body fat, for me, even as a fitness professional, I'm like, fuck that. I'm good. Like, I'm good. I don't need to be 4.1. So my next question is, what was that turning point for you where you were like, you know what? Like, this is my body. I have to accept the journey that I'm on, and this is where I'm going.
Probably about a year before I did the show, I started kind of like my own like personal development, self-discovery journey. So I already had a little bit of more heightened awareness about myself and like how I should be feeling. I started doing affirmations and meditations and really practicing the mental health part of self-care. And I think that that is what helped me stay so sane and non-dramatic on the show too. I was just like very aware of things. I didn't want to drink on set because I knew that that could, just do stuff to your brain. And I was emotional after that show because technically Kenny, the guy who I made the connection with on the show, we had conversations about us dating after. Like, okay, we're not going to get married. Like, we didn't go through with that, but like, let's continue this relationship. And it didn't happen. And he just was, he is a very self-aware person. Probably at that time, he was maybe more self-aware than I was. So he knew what he needed to do to move on with life and see if the feelings were real. Yeah. And at that time, I just felt like, what? You don't want to be with me? I'm rejected again. And so I was kind of going through another heartbreak. I needed to get, I had just taken 7 weeks off of life, basically. So I needed to like get my health coaching back up and running. And so I hired a business and mindset coach, and she did more for my mindset than my business. I mean, just psychology, just helping me with my behavioral patterns that I needed to like tweak and the fears and limiting beliefs that I had. I wound up like getting like a 9-to-5 job, not solely just focusing on health coaching, but getting a 9-to-5 job to help with my financial situation. And literally like a couple months later, that was in June, I got the job. And in August, September, it's like I lost the rest of the weight because I was like letting go of things that weren't serving me, transitioning, doing what was going to serve me best. And I know that like getting a 9-to-5 job and not letting the money monkey sit on my back.
But you said something really important. You said, once I let it go. Yeah. I talk in one of my courses, that's one of the modules is about letting go. And it's not like letting go of your past, but it's letting go of the weight, like releasing the baggage in your life so you can thrive. And I think that's so amazing that you recognize that by making a decision that was going to be, best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like with everything. I mean, if, I break it down to like, okay, if you guys don't like the way, if you don't like to tie your shoes, well, go buy slip-ons. Like, let go of like, it's like the littlest things. If it is not creating joy or peace in your life, just separate yourself from it or figure out how to communicate. If it's like a person, obviously, like figure out how to communicate effectively with that person so that you're both understanding versus, always having aggression and frustration or confusion with that person. Like communication is so key, but you have to remember you got to communicate with yourself first.
All right, we are back with Kelly Chase. We heard some amazing outlook on your life and just, I would say, actually self-reflection, if you will. And I just, again, want to commend you for making the decisions and choices to get yourself out of what I would seem to feel like a dark mental hole and dark mental space. And so congratulations. But I'm thinking that in addition to all of that, our listeners want to hear everything Love is Blind. Now, let me tell you this. I got to set this up for you, okay? So I'm in New York City. I was working. I don't know what I was doing. I was working. I was filming. And Alex, my production manager, which everyone knows Alex from Team Shaun, she was like, I need something for Netflix because I was flying a lot. And she was like, you got to watch Up Schitt's Creek and Love is Blind. But she was like, don't watch Love is Blind first because you won't be able to stop watching it. And I was like, oh, I'll go back and forth. And I think she even texted me like before I got on the plane or something. She was like, Shaun, do not start watching that show. So I get on the plane to Miami. I lied to you not. My flight was delayed. So I'm on the tarmac. I start watching the show. I watched it all the way to Miami. This is from New York. So it was like a 3-hour flight. I get in the Uber. I pull my iPad back out and I start watching it. First of all, I landed at like 1 a.m. There's no traffic. I'm watching it. I get upstairs to my hotel, right? I check in. I put it back on and I text another coworker of mine and I'm like, Erica, you have to watch this. She's like, no. She's like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm like, listen. I'm like, it's so good, whatever. Anyway, cut to, I think I finished watching it within like 2 or 3 days and it was amazing. For many reasons. Some people call it like, they have different names where they're like, oh my God, that's trashy TV. I'm like, but seriously though, if you actually really pay attention to what you guys went through. And even though I know you have producers doing this and doing that, like, I know how the shows work. I've been on there, but your emotions were real, because you can't conjure up those emotions. Even if they cut it up and put it into another place of the show, it still was real. So first question I have for you is, how did that opportunity even come about for you?
So, full circle moment here. Actually, so the breakup that created my spiral, we became acquaintances, you know, friends, whatever, like after all that stuff. Anyways, so the show Married at First Sight was the same like production team as Love is Blind. Anyway, so the first season of Married at First Sight was also filmed here in Atlanta, and prior to them, they were doing the casting for that. I received a text message from that ex-boyfriend, and he was like, "Hey, Kel, I just wanted to let you know that I gave your information to a casting director. I can't do it because of my job, but I thought you would be good for it." And I was like, "Okay, like, thank you."
Yeah, I mean, because I'm even over here like, wait a minute. We broke up. You were going to go get married at first sight. Now you're offering me up to what's going on?
Yeah. So it was like super interesting. So anyways, long story short, I guess they had my file from that still. Because obviously I never did that show. But yeah, so they called me and pitched Love is Blind to me. And I was like, that's a really awesome concept. And I think two things entered my brain. One, you know, I have had like 3 or 4 like serious boyfriends in my life, and every single one of them were great guys. Like, nothing bad. It just wasn't our time. It was, you know, it wasn't meant to be, that kind of thing. But I feel like all the guys that I dated, like in between them, maybe were like, you know, they're just very attractive. And my friends were always like, "Kelly, stop going for these like model looking guys. They're just going to treat you like shit," because they just think more of themselves than they do of other people, more or less. You know, that's their perception of things. And so anyways, my like one motive, I guess, was just like, you know what, I'm just going to like, maybe I'll do this and like prove them wrong. Like, I can make a connection emotionally with someone and not be based on their looks. I was like, you know what, I'm in my 30s. I don't necessarily, like, I use dating apps, but like not really. And I was just like, whatever. Like, even if I don't connect with someone on the show, like, who knows what that could expand, what other opportunities can come of it. Like, the guy may be like, you know what, you and I don't match, but my like best friend over here is single, and it would actually be a better match, you know? So it's like, one opportunity can open the door for other opportunities. So that was kind of where I was at with that.
So what I loved about the show, obviously, was the concept as well. And I believe that in the world today where people are trying to date and you can swipe right and swipe left off of like eye color, or, you know, maybe they're not, you know, maybe you see that they're 5'8", and, you know, you have to literally listen. I think you have to be a good listener, in that you're forced to be a good listener in this situation. And then in addition, you have to really be expressive. If you want someone to connect to you, you have to tell all of you, and they can only hear by your voice. So what was it like talking through that damn wall?
Well, the wall, we call it the frozen wall. The frozen wall. Yeah, it was very eye captivating. So it was like, we literally would stare at the wall as if the person was like in the wall or something, but it felt like they were in the wall. It was so interesting, and you just nailed it on the head. It's like, you had to really listen, and then also be expressive. So I knew for me, because we only had X amount of time to make these connections and or not make a connection with someone, that I wanted to ask more, you know, like, not just like, "Hey, what'd you have for lunch yesterday?" You know, not like surface level questions. And so whenever I would have a date with one of the gentlemen and they would start just asking me like basic stuff, I was like, I was just like, next.
Yeah, you're like,
care.
You're like, we're in here. Like, we ain't doing that much.
Right, exactly. Like, if I want to have that kind of date, I'll go out in Atlanta somewhere. Like, I don't need that. So I was, you know, like, one of the scenes was me asking Kenny, like, what his favorite childhood book was. And that literally was one of our really connecting moments. Because he just started to describe it, and I was like, holy shit, like, yes, like, that's like my favorite childhood book. Like, that's whoa, so cool. You know, ways to be transparent with each other, ways to tap into your vulnerability. I cried. I mean, I'm just an emotional person anyways, but like I cried on our pod dates. I know like, I think that Damien was the one who connected with Giannina, and Damien, I think, shed some tears on one of our dates. Like, it was really neat actually hearing the guys be so vulnerable, because that's something that, you know, stereotype, guys are stronger and, you know, they're not as emotional.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really neat how you really had these moments of just true vulnerability between you and the other person. You're both crying, you're both laughing, both talking about your families. You literally have never seen this person. Like, deep, dark secrets about your families, or like past relationships or childhood challenges. Like, it was just really neat.
So were you nervous at all? You know, going back to what your friend said to you, were you nervous at all that Kenny wasn't going to be your type?
Part of me was like, you know, what if he, you know, obviously, like, what if I'm not attracted to him? Like, because I'm so vulnerable and I'm so transparent, like, is it going to show on my face when those doors open and I see him? Like, if I'm not attracted to him, am I going to be like, like, just like really like wide-eyed? But then also like vice versa, because obviously I wasn't 100% confident with myself. Is he going to like what he sees? Like, yeah, he's gotten to know me for like, we've both gotten to know each other for our emotional and our intellectual, you know, on an intellectual level. But I mean, I do feel like physical attraction is definitely a component.
It's major.
It is.
It's major. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. You know, for me, sometimes like there are certain situations where people become emotionally connected and it's there. Yeah. But listen, if I'm going to be with you for the rest of your life, or our lives, first of all, I have to be attracted to you, because sex is a very important thing in a relationship. Even though some people are like, sex, I'm like, listen, yes, it is. Yeah. Because if you don't think it is, you're going to be having a lot of issues.
Right.
I will say this, you know, from a viewer's perspective, I'm like, first of all, I thought you were very pretty. I was like, she's very attractive. Like, I was here for it. But when you had mentioned that you weren't, like, he wasn't all the way your type, I'm like, what? He is fine. Like, girl, what?
I know. It's crazy.
But listen, I had to like fix myself. I'm like, Shaun, you ain't dating him. Like, it's her eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to tell myself, I was like, but I thought you guys made like literally the best looking couple. I thought it was great. How has the show changed the way you actually love?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. I mean, again, being so open and vulnerable, I think vulnerability is the key to true communication. And if you are not opening up, like, you're not allowing someone to, one, receive your love on a really true deep level, but you're also not like, you're not allowing for their love. Like, you're not really showing, and you're not really like being seen to that person. Like, if you want someone to love you, for all of you, I feel like you need to communicate super effectively, be vulnerable, tell them your ins and outs. And so, I mean, that's how it, you know, has helped me since the filming of the show, is just like really being open. And, you know, I struggled, I mean, raise my hand, definitely I struggled with like what I call like emotional bypassing. Like, if someone, you know, guy I was dating in a past relationship, if he like did something or said something and it kind of like made me like raise my eyebrow, tilt my head kind of thing, I just may not, you know, do anything or say anything, because I didn't want, like, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it for me to like have a confrontation about this right now, or like speak my piece? And a lot of it comes from, and I think other women can feel this way too, but a lot of it comes from fear of other relationships that you've had. You know, it's like, oh, did I say something and now they're breaking up with me? Or, you know what I mean? It's like, so you're very cautious with people, but if they love you, they're going to love your angry side, your happy side, your confused side, every side of you. So it's, you know, but I definitely struggled with it. And I even struggled a little bit of it after the show. I mean, I dated someone after the show, and those behaviors were popping back up for me. And I was like, geez, man, I didn't correct them yet.
Yeah, but I think that before, you know, you're saying you learned something during the show and then after the show, especially when in terms of breaking up, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had to break up with somebody at one of the most.
Oh God.
That was so. Well, a lot of people are probably like, I can't believe she said no. For me, I was like, but how hard was it to say no to someone at the altar?
Yeah. I'm speechless. It was very hard. I mean, I feel like Kenny and I were on the same page as, whatever happens, we're going to keep dating, or obviously if we had both said I do, then we would have gotten married. But it was so hard. I mean, that was just it's personally, back end of things. It's like, okay, you have never been married before. You're walking down an aisle to in a white dress. Your parents are there. Your families are there. Your friends are there. Like, it's like the thing you dream about your whole entire life. And now it's on a set. And it's like, it's almost, I said I don't. So it's like, okay, well, that was a practice wedding for my real one. Like, every emotion that you think is going to go through your head is going through your head. Your dad seeing you for the first time in a wedding dress, your mom seeing you for the first time in a wedding dress. It's like emotion central, like so many tears. And I mean, I remember, again, I try and like bypass emotions sometimes, but I would have just been like crying the entire time. I had to smile. Like, watching the episodes back, I knew when I was about to cry. I literally was like, I'm smiling really hard in that scene because I know I'm about to like bawl my eyes out, and I don't know what else to do except for just be like, okay.
Yeah, because in your post interview, it would seem to be after the wedding, you were still in your wedding dress.
Yes.
That's when I really started to feel for you, because I was like, I know there has to be some sort of, and you may not be able to say this, but there has to be some sort of rule where you have to continue to go forward, even if you don't want to go forward, because
right.
It's a show. So, right. And on top of that, you have to be wrestling with a decision. Your parents are there. You got them on a show. I mean, that's a lot. And it seemed like your real emotions, because you just said you were smiling on the altar, but those real emotions in your last scene or your last interview that I remember seeing, I mean, that's where I've really felt for you. I was like, oh, this must have been like so heartbreaking.
Yeah, no, it was. And I mean, honestly, like, so I was, I did cry when I was on the altar too, because I was emotional, and it was a very loving, emotional time. But again, I feel like what was communicated was that, okay, whatever happens right now, we're going to keep dating. So it was like, when I first walked up there to him, I was smiling because I was like, everything's fine. Like, no matter which way this goes, we're good. Yeah, when I was still in the wedding dress, it was like the post-wedding, like, follow-up or whatever. It was like, I was like mad,
Mm-hmm.
And because I was like, I just like, not only just drugged myself, but like drug my friends and my family through that, and that's something that, I hope I only had to do one time in my life,
Yeah.
So it was just very emotional, like I said, and so I just, it was just like hard, and I didn't know exactly. I even remember like in that interview, I was like, wow, I probably look really cold right now, but I'm just like emotionless in a sense. I know it came off different then, but I felt like I was almost like emotionless because I was like, I'm like, like whatever just happened. Like, let's just get on with it, and let me just like date this man and move on with my life.
Well, I think that's one of the things that happens, because on this side what's happening, but then you have all these people judging you on the other side who are watching the show. And just sitting here talking to you right now, like I said, I've been on TV, I've been in reality pilots before, so I was able to be like, that's not who this person really is all the way. So, I'm excited to talk to you because I get to see and feel the real you. But what do you want people to know, like, who may have judged you on the show? Like, what were some of the biggest misconceptions about who you are?
I mean, yeah, leaving, I have seen some of my comments on Instagram and stuff. I try not to, but it happens. Your eyes do wander. But yeah, I mean, just being kind of, attacked for, you broke his heart. And then, leaving him, how could you do that? Leaving him at the altar like that? He's such a good guy. Like, you'll never find anything. You'll never find something better than him. And then obviously attacking my like physical character too. Like, he was much better looking than you. Like, he's so better off than you anyways. Like, and you're just like this old wrinkly little hag, just like they make the most terrible. It's online
Keyboard
bullying.
warriors.
It's terrible.
Warriors. Yeah.
It's so horrible. I haven't had too terrible of ones. I may have like killed a couple with kindness, replies.
Well, I think the thing is, like, for people who may be watching, who may have judged you, who have seen this,
yeah.
Even though I know my listeners don't judge people, right? Okay. But I think, for them to understand, like, man, this is like, it is TV. And if you've never been on a set where there's producers, it comes off real, and it's a really good show for that. But I think that, like I said before, some of the takeaways for me was, in order to get proposed to or to propose, you had to be a really great listener. You had to show your vulnerability, and you had to be, in my opinion, you had to be someone who really is committed and likes to persevere, and I think that's some of the things that people miss. And I think that's just hearing your entire story so far today is you're really, really committed. You go super far into what it is that you think can work for you. And I think that's some of the things that, people don't see. And with that said, I think there's one thing that happened on the show that I don't want to really necessarily talk about it happening on the show, because like we just said, it's very, it's produced, even though the emotions are real. But what do you say? This might catch you a little off guard, but I tend to do that sometimes. What do you say to those couples who may be in a place in a relationship where the intimacy is not there? Because there was one point in the show where you're like, I think he's attractive, but I don't know. And so how did you manage that? Like, what were some of the things you did to take care of his emotions, even though you were going through that?
I was very much attracted to Kenny. What wasn't shown is Kenny and I making out, and I was very physically attracted to him. But his personality obviously outshined whatever physical conflict was happening in my brain. It was just, I was like, he's the cutest. Like, he's absolutely the cutest. He's so, he always used the term parallel. He was like, I don't want to be above my partner, and I don't want her to be above me. I want us to run parallel with one another.
Wow.
And it was just a profound statement. And it's like, I've adapted that phrase into my life now, but because it's so true, it's like, you want to encourage each other and lift each other up the entire time. And I feel like that's what Kenny and my relationship was like. We had conversations, again, very vulnerable, about family. Do you want to have kids? Like, what is your financial situation look like? All that kind of stuff. And, it was, again, very vulnerable. Just, I think that if you are having, for the relationships out there, the couples out there, if you're having some type of challenge or block as to why maybe you're not feeling physically attracted to that person, and this could be from the beginning of a relationship. This could be 15 years into a marriage, and all of a sudden you're like, why am I not attracted to my husband anymore? Granted, I haven't been there, but what I can sense, and from the mindset work that I do for myself, are you communicating with that person the way that you used to communicate with them when you were dating? Get to know that person again. And it doesn't matter where you're at in a relationship. Something has switched, and it could be on their end. It could be, but it takes two to tango. You gotta start asking them questions and practice that active listening, because we can all get triggered by things too. That's going to set you off. And now you're what could have been a nice conversation has now turned into an argument because you're not listening. Yeah. So definitely go in and listen. And I promise that person will become cute again.
That's a great life lesson right there. What is the biggest life lesson you've had so far, from obviously your childhood into pre-show and going through your body image and weight loss journey and nutrition journey through the show, and then past the show beyond a year? I mean, you've been through a lot emotionally, and you seem like you had to really dig deep within yourself. So what is a big life lesson that you've learned? The biggest life lesson that you've learned?
Good question.
I do that sometimes.
I know. I mean, again, it goes back to communicating. You have to communicate with yourself. Take time for yourself. Make the investments in yourself, whether that's investing your time and or your money. If you don't feel great, like go hire a health coach to help you out. If you're having marital issues, hire a relationship coach or go see a therapist. Like, I don't think that there's anything wrong with seeing a therapist. No, if you don't feel like you love yourself 100%, just ask someone for help. Like, get the help, communicate, like really communicate with people. And also, again, communicate with yourself, go inward, do like the journaling and reading personal development books. I mean, really, it's just communication. I don't even know. I could go on like a tangent about it.
I agree.
Communicate.
I have a course called Enhancing Your 7 Superpowers. Enhancing Your Superpowers, 7 Ways to Achieve Personal Growth. And module number 1 is self-communication. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
My very last question for you. I could talk to you for like another 2 hours. I feel like I need to come to Atlanta. When I come to Atlanta, we're going to hang out. I promise.
Totally. Let's do it.
If you want to hang out with me, of course that is. What does trust and believe mean to you?
Again, it all starts with yourself. Trusting in yourself and believing in yourself before you can trust another person and before you can believe in another person. You have to do it for yourself, because otherwise your fears, your insecurities, limiting beliefs, all the things are going to pop up, and you're going to, and like past stories, they're going to pop up, and that's the reason why you don't have the trust in that other person, or you're not believing what that other person said, is because you haven't trusted or believed the thoughts going on here first, being like, okay, well, where's that story coming from? Is it true? Is it not true? Get rid of it. Let it go if it's not serving you, and create and write a new story for yourself. And that's the only way that you're truly going to believe in yourself and trust yourself, so that you can trust and believe another person.
Kelly Chase, thank you so much. This was so great. How can people find you? What do you have out there where people can really connect with you the best way?
Yes. So I would say 2 platforms, one on Instagram. My handle is @ChaseLifeWithKelly. The second platform that you can find me at is on Facebook. I have a female-only group talking about your health, your nutrition, mindset, self-love, and where you can find that is just typing in Chase Life with Kelly. That is the group name. So I would love to have you inside.
Kelly, I'm not a female, but I know how to reach you now. So
yes, you do.
No, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to have you on the show. And your story will inspire a lot of people, and they will continue to trust and believe in who they are. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.